What's up, people? Welcome back to another last recollection guide. This time I'm gonna go over what are the enhance plus one. Just in case for people who have no idea what that plus one means in this game. It is a very useful buff. And you should use it in your build because it's really good. And I'll go over some of the characters that has the ability before I go over what it does. So you can get it from the arena, the Ishkan, when you beat him. You can get the armor drop, and there's a chance you can get the combat skill. It's the best if you can get double skill on it, like the passive and the combat skill. It's really hard. Sometimes it's just RNG, but if you can get it, you're set. It is the best armor in the game. So other than that, the other characters can have that ability is the dagger users. Well, I'll be specific in this case. It is the Alliance dagger user. Why? Because Alliance, they can share buffs. Any other dagger user, they can't share it. So for example, here, if you see you see the style, if you have arms or invincible, they can't share it. So it has to be Alliance. See? Skill buff affects like AoE, so it shares. There's no other ways to share the buffs if you don't have Alliance, So overall, Dagger Alliance is really good. The last character you can get for that same thing, plus one, is Yuna. She has a built-in passive just like Dagger users, and you can use her as well. As you can see in my earlier videos, I use her for my main buffer. Now I switch to Silica for more DPS. Meanwhile, she's buffing as well to get that 1.6 multiplier. Because with Yuna, you get like 1.4. You can use the Fire Arco to get the Tornado to get the 1.6. However, Silica is easier because you can just spam sword skills for her. And that's the high-end DPS build. So yeah, basically that's the the three options are the Alliance dagger user, and then Yuna, and then plus the Hammer. So that's three different plus one there. And then, but you want like either one of those characters to be your main buffer, so you can get plus two on top of the built-in. So plus one from the armor, plus one from them. And you'll definitely want that in your buff because it will boost small amount of percentage, so it will increase a lot more DPS. And now let's go over what the plus one does. So I'm gonna tell my Silica buff real quick. She already has a plus one built in, and as you guys can see, it will increase the percentage. The one thing I do want to remind you all is that this skill does not buff all of them. Like, it does not, the plus one enhancement is, that does not increase all the buffs in the game. So for example, it will increase Sword of Goddesses, but it won't increase realm speed. And yeah, I don't have a whole list of like all the combat skill that will work for this boss, but I pretty much used for my build video. There are the ones that will work, and not all of them will work, but the ones I put on Silica, it will share, or Yuna, that will have plus two. So they're the DPS buffs. And as you can see, it will increase. Sword of Goddesses is plus 10% speed and plus 3% attack in the buff list. So it went up by 1%. And let me go back. As you guys can see, it went up by 1%. You might not see that 1% is important, but for some of the stuff, it's good jump. It's not just plus 1%. Some of them pluses a few percent, and so it's different. Some of them plus 5%. Some of them plus 10%. So it's not just everything plus 1%. And so that's why I'm saying, if you use on a plus 2, and you're gonna see that Sword of Goddesses will jump up, which that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna let Silica buff. It's important to let her buff the Proof Conquest because she has enhanced plus one already. That's why I make her a main buff. If I'm using that buff and she's not, I'm only gonna get +1. But if she uses it, she gets +2. So it is important. And I'm gonna let her use it. And as you guys can see, I'll go back there, it will be more than 11%. You see? 12%. 5%. So it went up, so because she has a +1 already built in, so it's +2. And Realm still hasn't changed yet, because like I said, it barely changed anything. And the temporary soul is -20% now instead of the -15%. And the SP regen, instead of 30, this is 40. So yeah, some of them goes up by a lot. So not all of the sword skill, buffs goes up, but you know, that's why I say it is a very, very powerful buff if you use it on your main buffer, like the Dagger User Alliance or Yuna. You will get further enhanced boost for the buffs percentages. So that's pretty much it. That's what it does, and it's very, very good. And you will see why I use them in the videos because of that reason. Earlier in the previous patches, they messed up the buff, because when you buff the Firestorm for the 15% sword skill power, it actually turned into a negative number. So they fixed that. Now you can use all the buffs regularly with just remember using the conquest, proof of conquest first, and then do all your buffs last. And then that way you can get all the enhanced. If you do the proof last instead of the other way, you're not gonna receive the bonuses. So that is the main buff. You have to use the first buff. Well, if you want to increase whatever buffs you want to use, then just use that first. So not necessarily always gonna be the first buff. So that's pretty much it for this explanation video. Hope you guys enjoy it. Until next time.